welcome back to the Be the Hero channel. My name is Isabelle and I help you understand who you are using personality typing and astrology. Now, something massive just happened in the stars today. Not only do we have Venus retrograde and Pluto retrograde re-entering Capricorn and Saturn retrograde in Pisces, but now, today, June 30th, Neptune went retrograde in the sign of Pisces. And here's everything you need to know about this event, including your horoscope based off of your sun, moon, and rising sign. Now, before I dive into that though, hit the link in the description below to get your very own My Horoscope Made Me Do It hoodie. Look at, seriously, how cool these hoodies are. I know, I'm like tooting my own horn here because I made them, but seriously, these are some of the coziest hoodies I've ever worn, and a mega cool design that lets the world know, yes, I'm into astrology, but you know what? You're gonna want it for the Neptune retrograde transit. So today is June 30th, and Neptune went retrograde in the sign of Pisces, where it will remain until December 6th of 2023. Neptune is the planet of illusions, dreams, and intuition. I think of it as not even I think of it as, but in astrology, we have planets ruling over each zodiac sign, acting as the quote-unquote parent of each sign. Neptune is the parent or ruler of Pisces. And so with Neptune in Pisces, it's already in its home sign. And that means that all of us feel invited during Neptune's direct transit in Pisces to connect with our intuition in I can't speak English. Oh my gosh. I'm going to blame it on Neptune retrograde in Pisces. With Neptune transiting Pisces, we feel called to embrace and tap in to our intuition in very spiritual ways. This is a time for us to all focus, or maybe have become focused, on a meditation practice, cultivating our yoga practice, focusing on connecting to our sixth sense, working on our third eye. We've all felt inclined to connect to a deeper sense of self, to connect to our minds by spending time in solitude and making sure we are detaching from everyone else's energy fields. And this is heavily tied into this transit of Neptune in Pisces is heavily tied to Saturn's transit of Pisces, as they are in the same sign. And with Saturn in Pisces, there is a theme for us around becoming energetically responsible. We are reflecting on that during Saturn's retrograde transit of Pisces. And if you want to learn more about that, check out my video on Saturn retrograde in Pisces on our YouTube channel. But to touch more on Neptune in Pisces, what does it mean when Neptune goes retrograde? First and foremost, retrogrades are extremely feared amongst the astrology community, and this is because there's become a lot of talk 2 to 3 times a year whenever we have Mercury going retrograde. Everyone starts screaming at the top of their lungs, be careful, don't text your ex, don't do this, don't breathe wrong, don't speak wrong, double check everything, proofread your emails, blah, 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 blah. And I'm sick of it, frankly, but a retrograde is simply a time of self-reflection. A retrograde is when a planet appears to be moving backwards from our point of view on Earth. So normally when Neptune is going direct, in whatever sign it's in, we can find that those are the ways we can easily tap into our intuition or where our minds can tend to go, so to say. But with Neptune going retrograde, quite possibly some of the biggest themes are disillusionment and confusion. When Neptune goes retrograde, the barrier between our conscious mind and our intuition, or our conscious mind and our subconscious mind, becomes blurred. It's like fog has now been released to our brain. Now that sounds scary, but stay with me here, because not only is it something that can feel foggy, but it can also make us feel that we don't know the direction forward. And the benefit of Neptune retrograde is for us to realize how much we are potentially taking our intuition for granted. Now that it is less clear to us, we realize how nice it was when it was prominent. It is nice when we are more connected to our subconscious. And so during this time, Neptune retrograde is inviting us to bring more rest to our body. Basically, Neptune retrograde, specifically in Pisces, is telling us that, look, you're not going to be as productive as you were wherever in your life that is. You're now going to feel a little bit of brain fog. You're now going to have some trouble noticing the difference between conscious thought and subconscious driven thought. And so now you are invited to focus on slowing down, specifically slowing down in your mentality when it comes to facing different spots of your reality. Now, where you're going to feel this, though we are all going to feel it in our minds, but where in our life this affects us the most depends on what house Neptune retrograde in Pisces is happening in for you. And with both Saturn and Neptune retrograde in the sign of Pisces, there's generally a theme for us all right now on spending more time in solitude, making time to self-reflect, and becoming more aware and responsible of our energies. What are we imposing onto other people? What are other people imposing onto us? How are we not creating boundaries between ourselves and the world? During this time too, again, with Neptune retrograde, we can feel that it's kind of confusing to get to these answers, which is why Neptune retrograde is so much just about being patient and not trying to control everything. Neptune is basically the brakes on our car, and they've been forced to hit the brakes and slow down, telling us, look, you're thinking too much, you're doing too much, you're being too much, and I'm telling you, you now need to slow down. Which for a lot of us during the summers can be very, very beneficial for our healths as we all become very excited. It's summer, it's time to party, it's time to get out there, it's all the maybe mountains are clear, maybe we can go on vacation. Neptune retrograde reminds us that, look, you might need to slow down a little. And if you're not going to do it, then I'm forcing it. So again, how is this going to affect you based off of your horoscope and based on your sign? Since Neptune moves at a slower pace than most planets, changing signs, I believe, roughly every 14 years, I would look at your sun sign for your horoscope, but you can also look at your moon and rising for more details on exactly how this will affect you. Your rising will more indicate what it feels like as soon as today when Neptune goes retrograde, what that initial backpedal feels like it's focused on, and also how you're going to view the day-to-day brain fog. And your moon sign is going to show more of what your emotional development is going to look like looking back, or how it affected your personal life. And your sun sign is going to be overall. The overall, how it affected you, what the most core theme was. So if you are an Aries, sun, moon, or rising, you're going to feel this very, very, very strongly in your mind. As an Aries, you're someone who is an initiator, you're bold, you're brave, you're blunt, and you might feel that life hits the brakes on you very, very hard as Neptune goes retrograde. You might feel that this is frustrating, and it certainly will be. As an Aries, I already know that this is coming, and I'm going to feel this, and I'm already feeling it heavily. But this is an invite for us to notice how much we think. This happens in your 12th house of subconscious mind. And you might not notice before Neptune had gone retrograde how much you're allowing your subconscious to take the reins and basically jack you up with stress. So Aries, during this time before Neptune went retrograde, you might have been doing it all, being it all, trying to be at least, and stressing yourself out too much. Now as Neptune goes retrograde in Pisces, joining Saturn in the retrograde action, you are called to spend more time in self-reflection, even more than ever, and you're going to notice that you might not be as quote-unquote productive as you were. Remember to just breathe through this. It is a long transit. Neptune will be retrograde until December 6th of 2023. So basically, Neptune retrograde is inviting you to embrace a less productive lifestyle, and keep in mind that you don't always have to do more to be more. If you are a Taurus, sun, moon, or rising, this affects your community and dreams the most. I feel that in astrology, when we talk about the 11th house, oftentimes people forget that it's not just about friends and community, it's also about our big visions, big dreams, and aspirations. And this is because it reflects the themes of Aquarius. And Aquarius is not just about their community, but the big values and big goals and vision they have for their community. They're about how they're going to leave an effect on the world. So for you during this time, Taurus, you might notice that some things are coming up for you with your friends. You might not feel that you guys have clear communication in your community. There can be a bit of a feeling that everyone is keeping something secret, when really it's just that everyone's feeling this brain fog that you are feeling as well. And you are called to focus more on how you've been pursuing your visions and dreams and how much effort you've been putting in to your community. Do you lack energetic integrity in your community? Are you allowing yourself to be pushed around? Are you pushing people around? That is something that is going to be very prevalent for you during Neptune retrograde. And also reflecting on how you are approaching your dreams. Once again, as I said, this is actually, I think, going to be a bigger theme, even more so for you, because Neptune has to do with dreams, fears, reality, imagination. And you might notice that during this time, you've been You've been living in a fantasy when it comes to your dreams. And you might be called during this time to basically reflect on how you've been thinking about your future dreams and how realistic you've been making them. Maybe you need to make them more realistic. Maybe you need to make them less realistic. If you are a Gemini, Sun, Moon, or Rising, this is going to affect your 10th house of career. So during this time, you might notice that your career is extremely confusing. You don't know where you're going in your career or what you're doing or what the purpose is. Basically, Neptune retrograde is causing a little mini crisis for us all where we are, because it's causing confusion. So we can feel like basically, whoa, wait, why am I overthinking this? Why is it going this way? I'm lost. Am I doing the wrong thing? And here's your friendly reminder to not panic. Second of all, specifically for Gemini, suns, moons, and risings, you might feel you're a little lost in your career right now, without direction, without clarity. And my recommendation to you, first and foremost, is to just stick it out. Don't impulsively change careers because you feel like it's draining. Just create space for yourself in your career to take care of yourself energetically and to make sure you are not disrespecting other people's energy as well. You can feel that your normal everyday life in your career is just bringing you down, and you might just need to spend more time energetically charging yourself up in order to deal with your career during this time. If you are a Cancer, Sun, Moon, or Rising, this affects your not only travels, but learning that shapes the identity, as that is what the 9th house represents. A lot of people overlook what exactly the 9th house means and often just associate it with travel because it's a bit of a complicated concept that the 9th house centers around to explain in limited words. Simply put, though, from my understanding, is the 9th house rules all exploration, both physical and mental. And so during this time, one more note too on the 9th house is that the 9th house has a lot to do with the life lessons we learn. And so for Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising, you can feel that during this time, you're a little lost and confused on where you are at in your life. If you were to see your life as a thread or a journey that a hero is going through, which BeTheHero.Academy, here we are all about, but you might feel, Cancers, that you don't know where you are in your journey. You were very clear on what spiritual lessons you've learned, on where you need to go next, about where you are limiting yourself, and now you can feel a little more lost in that process. Again, more learning that you do, the better this will feel for you, but you might need to do so in solitude. Traveling also to places where you feel connected to yourself and have time in solitude is going to also feel really amazing for you guys during this time. You're called to reflect on your relationship with your spiritual journey. How do you connect to a sense of maybe God or universe? How do you connect to your environment around you? How connected are you to something greater, which could be a greater version of yourself or a greater power out there that is beyond you? That is what you're called to reflect on during this time. If you are a Leo, sun, moon, or rising, this is affecting your 8th house of sexuality and deeper desires and shadow work. So during this time, you might feel Leos as a fire sign. You're always on the go, go, go. And you're always trying to make things as fun as possible and efficient in many ways, including potentially sexual acts and also your shadow work. You might feel that you don't allow yourself to really pause and enjoy the process of maybe sexual acts or of your shadow work process, the ability to be intimate both with others and yourself. And you're called during Neptune retrograde to slow down and focus on enjoying more in the present when it comes to intimacy in all forms, whether that's intimacy with yourself or with a partner. You might also feel a little conflicted in what your sexual desires are during this time as Neptune goes retrograde in Pisces. So for you, Leo, sun, moon, and rising, you're going to feel very, very frustrated and confused on what exactly it is you want from your partner, or maybe what it is you even want in life in general. As the 8th house has a lot to do with simply deeper desires, and it's not necessarily always about sexuality and intimacy. So you are called to reflect on what your desires are and slow down in your process of discovering those things. Now is a great time for you to do shadow work and really just enjoy and be patient in the process of discovering yourself. If you are a Virgo, sun, moon, or rising, this is happening in your opposite sign of Pisces, which is your 7th house. And so you might feel that during this time, your relationships get suddenly very, very confusing. Again, you can feel like maybe your partner is not being clear in what their desires are, or they're being wishy-washy in how they feel or what they want, where you guys are at in the relationship, or what your shared goals are. And this is a reminder for you to be patient and enjoy the process of learning to discover your partner. So you might be spending more time in solitude with your partner, not always trying to dive deeper or look for more, but instead just embrace each other's company and be in silence more together. During this time as well, you might feel that this feeling that, oh, am I supposed to be moving on to a new relationship? This just doesn't have the old feeling or spark that it used to. My recommendation, don't make any big changes as Neptune retrograde ends in December. Let the entire period of retrograde be a feeling out time for you to decide whether your relationships are in alignment or not. If you are a Libra, sun, moon, or rising, this is happening in your 6th house of routine and service. So during this time, you might find yourself drained much easier when it comes to your day-to-day life. You might find that it's hard for you to keep up with all your tasks and serve others from a selfless space. And this can make you feel that you might be questioning, why do I do the work I do? Why do I help people so much? Why am I so this way every day? So there's a lot of daily frustration that's going to come up for you, whereas a lot of other people will be experiencing, with different zodiac signs and placements, more of a long-term confusion. This is going to be very much in your face during this time, and you might just need to remember to connect to yourself and spend time alone, and maybe not be so productive when it comes to serving others every single day. If you are a Scorpio, sun, moon, or rising, Pisces retrograde, or Neptune in Pisces retrograde, happens in your 5th house of romance and love. And for you, this is going to just simply feel like you're lacking that spark in all areas of your life, specifically in your romance and in your creativity. That old feeling of passion that you usually have seems to be very distant. And this is a call for you to simply reflect on what exactly you want to be when it comes to your creative expression and to romance. This can be a very frustrating time for you as you feel that maybe all the dating options are superficial and lacking clarity, or this can be a time for you to connect to yourself deeper in a positive, more neutral way. This is also a great time, honestly, for you to focus more on art, because you'll be more connected to your mind during this time in a very foggy way, so you might not know exactly what's going on in your mind, but creating art can be something that helps you channel this confusing energy and get further clarity. If you are a Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, or Rising, you are called to focus on your family during Neptune retrograde. With Pisces retrograde here too, you might have to learn to be more responsible with your family and how you interact with them. And now with Neptune retrograde here as well, you might feel that everyone in your family, in your home life, including yourself, is not being as clear as you wish they were. And this can lead to a lot of miscommunication and confusion. The best thing you can do during this time, as Neptune is retrograde in Pisces in your 4th house, is to make more time for silence with other people and practice patience. You guys might not all be on the same page. You might not know what you want from each other, what you expect. Just know that this is a time of basically learning to slow down and wait for answers to come to you, as Neptune is retrograde in Pisces. If you are a Capricorn, Sun, Moon, or Rising, this happens in your 3rd house of everyday communication. And for you, Capricorn, as someone who is such a go-getter and always trying to be as efficient as possible, it can be very frustrating for you that you feel like both everyone else around you and yourself cannot communicate clearly what you need, want, and are going to do. So during this time, be very patient as you find it harder to communicate and get your points across the board. Even if you have issues with asserting yourself, which is something that is very odd for you during this time, make sure you are just taking your time with your communication and trying to stick to the point, even if your words often come out simpler than you heard them somewhere in your head but can't seem to find now. Aquarius, this happens in your 2nd house of wealth, and during this time you might find also wealth and worth. So during this time, you might find that your sense of self-worth is a little hazy. Usually you're someone who owns the fact that, you know what, I'm different from everyone else. I have a purpose here on earth and I'm going to fulfill that. But as Neptune is retrograde in the sign of Pisces in your 2nd house, you might find it hard to connect with that sense of who am I, what do I do, and how is that valuable. During this time, you're asked to pause and reflect on your feelings in order to cultivate a stronger sense of worthiness and to potentially improve your wealth. You might find that there's a lot of confusing things happening with your money. Some things might appear to be lost at first, or some things might appear to be moved. Try not to worry about it too much. Money can be a big issue for us all. But Aquarius, during this time, you're asked to not panic if something seems wrong with your money, because by the time December 6th comes around of 2023, you'll see these things clearly, and it's just that there are illusions in place during this time. So it might appear like some of your money's missing, or money's been moved, or something's going on with your sense of, with your wealth, or something's misplaced, but it actually isn't. Most likely, and it's actually just something that's unclear. So be patient both with your money and with your sense of self-worth during this time, as you might feel a little bit down in the dumps about yourself. And finally, if you are a Pisces, Sun, Moon, or Rising, this is affecting your sense of identity. With Saturn already retrograde here, you already are thinking a lot about your sense of self. And now this is not only more prevalent, this focus on self-identity, but it also gets more confusing. You might feel like you're living in a fog and unclear with who am I, what do I do, what is my life meaning. You might feel just basically a bit of a crisis. And again, recommendation is to wait it out, as frustrating as that might be. You might feel that you lack clarity in your personal life, and you might even feel that you're being someone you're not, because you find it hard to act from that sense of self. Remember to keep it simple during this time. You don't need to try to massively recreate yourself. You also don't need to be super hard on yourself for any quote-unquote mistakes that you make. You are here on a divine path that is destined for you, Pisces. So anything that is a mistake is actually you living exactly in alignment with your soul's purpose and soul's destiny. So be patient, as annoying as it is. Overall, all of us are feeling a little bit lost and confused during Neptune retrograde that started today and will be going on until early December. And all of us, unfortunately, are going to have to practice a lot more patience, not even with the world at large, but with ourselves during this time. In a world where we are taught to live the grind, be productive, live that hustle, we are called and invited to slow down, and that can be a hard thing for a lot of us to do due to this stigma around working hard all the time in society. So Neptune retrograde is a reminder for us all that it's okay to be a human being and be imperfect, or quote unquote imperfect, because perfect does not exist, and instead of being a human doing. You don't always have to think more productively, you don't always have to be more productive, and you might lack clarity, and oftentimes when we are in that fog, we can find the greatest discoveries about ourselves, because being in the fog can be scary. But when we can't see the way forward, we are learning to better connect with a sense of intuition, so that when the path is clear, following our intuition will become even stronger. So this is like a building time for your relationship with your intuition in different realms of your life. Again, dependent on the house that Neptune retrograde is happening in for you. And by being in this fog with patience and trying to tap into that intuition without really necessarily acting on it, just embodying and moving around, being curious with yourself is one of the most beneficial things you can do during this transit of Neptune retrograde in Pisces 2023. If this video helped you understand your astrology for Neptune in Pisces retrograde, but you want to learn more exactly about how it's going to affect you based on your unique natal chart, hit the link in the description below to book a 30-minute or 1-hour reading with me, where we can dive into how these transits, including Neptune retrograde and more if you're interested, is going to affect you based off of your birth chart, because you have unique placements in a unique house stagger that is going to affect you differently than everyone else. So book a 30-minute reading with me in the link in the description below, or book a 1-hour reading if you are ready to dive deep into where you are in your life, what your purpose is, and what exactly in every aspect makes you who you are. This is a multifaceted personality type reading if you book the 1-hour reading, and it is only for those who are really curious to understand who they are. So hit the link in the description below, book whichever you are ready for. While you're down there, be sure to check out the free birth chart workbook and check out the Making Mindfulness Fun bundle, where I just launched the moon sign self-care workbook that you can only exclusively access in this bundle. In this bundle, you get access to all 30 of our workbooks and courses we have ever created on astrology and more. And in the Moon Sign Self-Care Workbook specifically, which I just launched, you learn how to practice self-care and understand your unique moon sign to its fullest, because this is the most important aspect of your chart. And by understanding your moon sign, you can live in alignment with your emotions and be in control of your reality rather than feeling like a victim to your emotional highs and lows. So hit the link in the description below to get the Making Mindfulness Fun bundle now while I'm still offering it, because I am thinking I'm gonna pull it soon, since 30 workbooks for $30 is an insanely stupid thing to offer because it is pricing it so low. So hit the link in the description below, grab the bundle now. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Let me know if you're feeling this transit of Neptune retrograde in Pisces in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel to stay tuned for more updates on the stars and to understand each aspect of your birth chart. Once again, my name is Isabelle, and from my heart to yours, I bow to you. Namaste.